We're in the woods north of Micanopy, Florida today, and it's the home of the Goodwin Heart Pine Company. It was founded by George and Carol Goodwin in 1976, and what the Goodwins do is they recover 200-year-old logs from the bottom of riverbeds, and they transform those logs into beautiful and sturdy lumber using their very own sawmill. Why is that important to you? Because you're going to enjoy the uniqueness and beauty of this very special wood in Brownwood. That's right, on Paddock Square, in such buildings as the Log Cabin and the Citizens First Bank building. And today we're going to go through the whole amazing river recovery process with George and Carol. So we're joined now by Carol. And Carol, how are you?
Hi, Gary. It's good to see you.
Oh, it's neat to be here. I've never seen anything quite like that.
Welcome to Goodwin.
Well, thank you. Let's start at the beginning. What makes this wood that's been on the bottom of rivers for hundreds of years so special?
Gary, it depends on what somebody wants. If they want something that's beautiful, that's natural, that's lovingly prepared, we love providing this wood from Florida's history to places like Brownwood. We're so excited about the Paddock Square.
Well, we're excited too, because this is special stuff. Now, how did it get on the bottom of the rivers? I have to ask that.
Well, we're just lucky. Some of the best logs were often the ones that sank. They would use the rivers to transport the logs. There just weren't that many miles of railroad. So the divers are looking for something that's really tight grained, and if they have an axe cut bottom or a V-shaped end, that's a really good sign, because that means it was cut before the 1880s.
Oh wow, okay, so they were floating them down the river. Some of them sank or weren't recovered. Pretty neat. Now your company is called Heart Pine, and I know you also do Heart Cypress. What does the heart mean? What's the difference between heart pine and regular pine?
Well, the heartwood takes, in the case of the longleaf pine, about 200 years to become even 2/3 heartwood. And all of Goodwin's heart pine and heart cypress are all 100% heartwood.
Wow.
So you're getting something that's really durable.
This is the good stuff, and it's not going to be here forever, right? There's a limited supply of this kind of wood.
That's true. There's a limited supply. Fortunately, we continue to find more logs every winter season. The water brings up a few more. Now, I didn't tell you about the cypress. That wood is so uniquely fine-grained. We found logs that were over 1,700 years old. That's going to go on the siding for the grandstands in Paddock Square. People are going to be able to see wood that's part of Florida's history.
Wow, it's like going back in time, but we're going to now look at a piece of fairly modern equipment. Let's go over to the lumber mill and let's see what George does.
Oh, I love watching him saw wood.
Let's go. Well, I've ambled over from the sawmill log pond, which... well, what are those logs doing there, George?
That's our long-term storage facility.
Oh, you want the logs there?
Absolutely.
In the water.
Once the logs are brought out of the river, they come here by semi-truck.
Okay.
If we're going to store them, we'll put them in our log pond, which we dug about 12 years ago just for that purpose, to store logs, to keep them from drying out and decomposing. Next step is to scale the logs, where we measure the diameter and the length and determine what their value is. Next step is to buck them in, cut them with chainsaws into what we're going to, our saw log length. We have special needs and we'll cut longer lengths, but basically we cut 8s, 10s, 12s, 14s, and 16s. From there, next step is to power wash those logs to get all the sand and debris off of them from the river. Next step from there is the sawmill. Now, I'm fortunate enough to run our sawmill. Good job. I get to see every log, the first person to see that log, the inside. These logs, most of them, were cut down by axe, which dates them prior to the 1880s. They started using cross-cut saws, which will give you a square bottom on a log, in the mid-1880s. So most of these logs were cut down after the Civil War, but prior to the 1880s. It was a big...
And each log is different, right?
Absolutely. Some of them, I mean, they're all different sizes, different shapes, but the grain in each one, there's some definite consistencies, but everyone's different. If you're a wood nut like I am, then I have a good job.
This saw is a little bit different than the one in my high school wood shop.
This is a band saw. It's a band head rig. Yes, sir. It's got that blade is 30 feet long and 7 inches wide.
Got a few moving parts too.
Absolutely.
Now, George, we're talking about wood that someday we're not going to have any of it. So, how important is that calculation and the precision with which you've got to? I mean, you just don't cut willy-nilly, I'm sure.
The expense and the trouble of recovering these logs dictate that we take extreme caution and extreme care and get the very best grades and the most yield that we can get out of these logs. In other words, we really squeeze them in the process. So anyway, we're trying to save wood it's very scarce and rare.
George, have you thought ahead about, a few months, a year from now, when you and Carol walk on to Paddock Square, Brownwood, and you see your wood
that came out of our log pond? Yeah,
you thought about that?
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be really beautiful.
I think so too. You're like a proud papa.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure.
And folks, just remember that authentic Paddock Square in Brownwood, that 150-year-old Florida cracker town, has been built with 150-year-old authentic Florida lumber. It's all for you villagers in that one-of-a-kind place, Paddock Square. And who knows, maybe you'll see George and Carol there and you can thank them yourself.